Hey everyone, Space Feeders here, and I noticed a lot of you are quite big on the Get Rich video I did a little while back. It's my most viewed video by a way. So I figured I'd do another one focusing on farms. Now, it's not quite as quick. It takes a bit of time to really get there, but there's a lot of qubit potential, so I thought I'd do one. So let's just assume that we've never farmed before. We're going to open the Qubit store and we're going to go to items, farming, and over here we've got the farming starter pack, which is 50C, and you can only buy it once. So you haven't got 50C, well, you've got your daily quests, which will earn you 50C. You can get C just from pulling blocks. It's fairly easy to obtain. By buying this, you will get 5 farm soil, a watering can, and 8 tomato seeds, which is what you need to start your account. So what you're going to do very first thing you're going to do, you're going to take your farm blocks, you're going to place them, you're going to plant your tomatoes. Here are all my lovely tomatoes here, and you're going to water them. Now, you need to think about your watering times, because when you're watering your plants for the very first time, you're using basic watering cans. You need to think about what time you're watering, because if you're not watering at the same time every day, you're going to potentially lose crop. So think about it this way: if you have school and you know that you're on Qubit Castles at let's say 8 a.m. every day before school, water it then. If you know you can't get on in the morning, but afterwards you get on sort of 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, water it then. That way, when you get to that time every day and water them, your crops will still be alive. If you water them at 8 a.m. one day and then not 5 p.m. the next day, they could all die and you're back to square one. So watering and what time you water is very, very important. I would craft yourself some basic watering cans. I believe they're iron, yellow, and just yellow dye, I think. You'd have to check it. But craft yourself a whole bunch so that you can water all your crops in one go. That'll become really useful when you get to the scale of crops that I have in here. Or you can upgrade yourself to deluxe cans, but that's a whole other thing. Right, so you've been growing your tomatoes, you've been planting your tomatoes, harvesting them, selling them for recubes. If you don't know where to sell them, I'll just take you to have a look quick, because obviously that's important. So you want to go over to the back over here, and here is the Farmers Co-op. Now there's a warp food in here, I believe, as well. You can get it, but this guy is who you want to sell your crops to. This one will sell you animals, but that is going to benefit you absolutely zero right now. I mean, you could sell eggs or something from chickens, but realistically, it's not what you want to be doing. So you're going to want to sell to him. So you've been selling your stuff. You've been doing that. Okay, we're going to go back over to the farm. Where are you? Farm. Okay. So you've sold all of that. Now you're going to start leveling up, and you're going to start gaining perks. Now, there are 3 perks that are crucial to the development of your farm, but some are better than others. So we'll just open up my profile, because I've got them here. Okay, so you've got Land Manager, which will increase the amount of crops you can have. Poultry Man is for chickens, cows, pigs. Farm Tech is sprinklers and tractors. Botany is the different types of plants you can have, and Crop Converter just allows you to create things for cooking. Again, cooking, you could sell the items, but it's not going to make you the most qubits. So you want to focus on Land Manager. Now, as you can see, it's going to start giving you more crops. Excuse me. And so you're going to start to be able to manage 20 and 50 crops. Now, I would always advise you, when selling your tomatoes, before you do anything else, buy seeds. Because if you don't buy seeds, you're going to suddenly find that you can't afford seeds. So 10 recubes for tomato seeds. So if you sell your tomatoes and you have 15 recubes, buy your tomato seeds, then you've got 5 recubes profit. Now that's not a lot, but when you sell your tomatoes over and over again, that's going to build up. The more you've got, the more you're going to make. But Land Manager is the perk you want to focus on the most, okay? Once you have all of your land managers, or if it won't let you pick another land manager, there are 2 others you want to be looking at. So that is the Botany, which will increase the different types of plants you can have, and Farm Tech, which will eventually allow you to have sprinklers. Now, once you start getting Botany, you might think, oh, I can I can start doing different crops now, and you might want to go to potatoes, or don't do it. Don't upgrade yourself to potatoes. Stick with tomatoes for now. Because what you'll find is that every single vegetable gives you the same amount of experience points. So if you start upgrading to, let's say, potatoes, they're going to take almost twice as long as tomatoes, but you're going to get the same amount of experience. Now, you're going to get more recubes, that's true, but you're not going to level up very quickly, which means you're not going to be able to push for those higher levels that you need. So I would advise you to stick with tomatoes. Now, once you start making a decent bit of profit, maybe your land managers have increased, you want to start looking at soils, because soils are going to make your life easier, quicker. You've got the decent soil, and then you've got the great soil. Now, when you upgrade to each different soil, that's going to decrease the amount of time it takes for your plants to grow. So essentially, you need to water them less. You can farm them quicker. I think on great farm soil, it literally takes 1 day, if I remember correctly. So let's say you're watering at 8 in the morning, you're going to come on 8 in the morning the next day, and your plants are going to be grown, which means you don't have to water them because they're grown. So if you forget to water them, they're fine. And you can harvest them, plant new ones, water them, and your yield will just go up and up and up. Now, the almanac is something to talk about. That's worth having, because if you hold it in your top inventory slot, it tells you how long it was since your plants have been watered, and I don't remember, but it might well tell you how long until they're grown, which is great if you want to be the guy that's pulling your plants at the very first minute you can and watering them, because that will give you quicker farming time. If you're watering them at exactly the right time and pulling them at the exact time they finish, you're going to just go faster and faster. Okay, so we've been upgrading our soil, we've been upgrading our land manager, and we're still on tomatoes, so we're getting the XP. Now, you're going to see that you eventually hit a land manager. Let's find it. Land manager 3. Manage 100 crops in 2 realms. Now, that's very important, because once you have the ability to open up 2 realms, this is where we can start to punch up the recube. So, what you want to do is you want to take all the old soil you've been saving up, your rocky soils, your decent soils, whatever soils you're not using now, because you're on hopefully a better soil, and you're going to shove that in a second room. So get yourself a second room with C or whatever you've got, and start farming a second room. Now, what you want to do with a second room is use a higher vegetable. So if you have potatoes, go for potatoes. If you're up to corn, do corn. Keep 1 room tomatoes and 1 room a better vegetable. So what you will now get is more recubes from the better vegetable, but you'll still be getting a lot of XP because you'll be farming tomatoes. So that's really good. Your XP is increasing and your recubes are increasing. Now, we'll just touch on this. Once you get to corn, and corn is a crop you can grow, don't grow anything better than corn. Now, if it forces you to take the perk, by all means take eggplants, take wheat, take whatever, but don't use them, because corn is the most efficient vegetable out of all of them. Now, what this means is, for the amount of time it takes to grow, and the amount of recubes you get from it, it is the best. So eggplant, for instance, will take longer to grow and will give you more recubes. Same as wheat, that will take even longer to grow and give you more recubes. But if you're farming corn, you can get twice as much corn harvested as you can wheat, which will essentially make you earn more recubes in the long run doing corn. Yes, you have to plant it and farm it more, and you have to be on top of it more than if you were doing wheat, but it will make you more recubes. So don't use anything other than corn. So you just want your 2 farms to be tomatoes and corn. Now, once you've been doing that for however long it's taken you to get there, you're doing your soils, you've got your corn, you've got your tomatoes, maybe you've even increased yourself to more farms. I mean, you can go up to, where is it? I think it's 5? Up to 5 realms you can eventually have. So, maybe you're somewhere along there. Your botany, you're up to corn. Corn is the very first one, so that's pretty good. And then you're looking at farm tech. Small sprinklers, large sprinklers, tractor. Okay, so there are 2 things to think about with sprinklers, and we'll go to look at the sprinklers now. Oh, there's my carrots. I've just got a few of those in there. I like the carrots. Okay, so in the windmill, I have my extra farms. So when looking at sprinklers, there are 2 ways to go about it. Small sprinklers are cheaper. So as you can see, I've got corn in here. Small sprinklers are cheaper. Therefore, they are more cost effective to grow your plants with small sprinklers. But the shape of your farm will differ from that of large sprinklers because of the way they work. Now, they're not necessarily the quickest way to harvest plants. But as you can see, here is how they work. Here is the pattern for them. So, essentially, it sort of works in a cross form. I don't know if I'll be able to fit them in. So, if this is your cross, okay, this is where your sprinkler grows, and it will water those 4 around there. So then, you put in, it's going to just screw this a bit, 1 like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. And you basically interlock these grids like so, right up until you reach the maximum amount. Each little star has a sprinkler in the middle, and that's how the sprinkler pattern works. Now, that's great. It's a bit of getting used to make those, but once you get it, this is a 500, or just short of, I think, because it's not a perfect even number, 500 crops. But you have to drive up and down and up and down, and if you're pulling them by hand, that's quite a pain. So yes, if you want a cheaper option, you'll be able to get to it quicker, use this method. If you want an option that is easier to farm, you're going to have to wait for the big sprinklers, but I prefer it. I think it's a nicer looking farm. It spreads them out just around the squares, and then on the end you just have to tack a few little ones on the end to make up the extra numbers. But you can just drive in straight rows. I go like, let's just get out this car for purposes. I go like this, I go across like that, and then I come back round each row like this, and you just do that all the way along. So it's nice and quick. So those are your 2 different sprinkler patterns of looking at. One or the other, it's really up to you. And after that, so you've got your farms, you're working up your farms, you're working up your corns, you've got your tomatoes for the leveling. That's pretty much it for having your farm. So the next thing you're going to want is a tractor. Now, they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. In fact, they're 25,000 recubes, which aren't as much as the scarecrows, which do absolutely nothing. They just look really nice. But 25,000 for the tractor seems quite steep, but it's going to save you so much time. Every time you pull a block, you have the potential of pulling the soil instead. You have a potential of pulling the sprinkler. You have a potential of just ruining your farm or taking longer. You have to then replace things, blah, blah, blah. It's a real pain. The tractor is going to save you a lot of time because you can just drive up and down in this tractor and it's just going to mine it all for you. So you want to get one when you can. If you're absolutely rolling in recubes, tractors aren't a bad thing to try and sell to people. They're not worth as much anymore, obviously, because a lot of people have got full farms. But you can sell tractors. That's something you can do. Corn is another thing you can sell because some people who are farming, who want to earn recubes, can buy your corn and go sell them to the farmer to make their own recubes. So that's a really great way of doing that. Now, fairy stuff. Do we want to talk about fairy stuff? So this was added. I always lose farming. This was added along with the scarecrows. You could buy scarecrows and sell those, but they're really probably not worth it. Now, fairy soil is 500 recubes per block, and each block has one single use, and it's 500 for a seed. So if you plant that seed in that soil, that's 1,000 recubes, and you're not going to be able to reuse those. That's it. Takes, I think it's like 12 days or something ridiculous. But by the end of it, you will be left with a fairy rock and a fairy plant. Now, the rocks look pretty cool. They're quite an interesting design, and the fairy plants are very, very cool indeed. So you could get those. You could use that for building, or if you really want to, you could be selling them to people. People will buy them. Same as sprinklers. People will buy sprinklers. People will buy farmers' hats and jeans. You can pretty much sell anything you can get here. Now, the other thing, of course, and I do not remember where it is. It's in here. Is it in here? I've lost recube items. Where are recube items? Here. People will buy these as well. So, polka dot trees, flowers, scrubs, these are all things people will buy. So, once your farm's up and running and you're making recubes, these are all things you can consider. Now, how are you going to sell them, you might ask? Who's going to buy them? Well, here's one way of going about it, which I'll show you. This is a shop owned by a guy called Vampire V, and I tend to go here for those sort of things myself. If I want recubes and I'm not willing to wait for the farm, then I will go here. Now, he has changed his shop, so I don't remember where it is. This is farm, I believe. This is farm. Okay, so here's his farm. So he's selling, as you can see, he's got recube flowers, he's got water currants, he's got scrubs, he's got corn, he's got the boxes, so you can use your recubes to buy the cows, the chickens, the pigs. He's got milk, he's got sprinklers. Over here, he's got different seeds. These are the fairy blocks. As you can see, he's clearly making decos, which you can also sell. So if you want to make yourself some carrot cakes or some various craftable recipes, you can do. He's got all the fairy blocks. As you can see, the fairy flower stuff is really, really pretty. It looks really nice. So these are all things you can sell. So, set yourself up a shop and make yourself. I mean, you can make a lot of money from this. But I hear you thinking, how am I going to get people to my shop? Well, I have a great video for you on how to make a shop. I'll leave that along in the description, and I'll leave it in the end, along with my other Getting Rich video, which might help you out. Build yourself a shop, sell yourself these recube items, and you can make a fair profit. Now, it's not the quickest way to go about it, but once you're set up to this sort of level, you can make a lot of recubes. People will buy this stuff. Builders love the flowers. They love the fairy stuff. Farmers who aren't quite there yet will buy your corn for recubes. So that's something to think about. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I thought it might be quite nice to do another Get Rich video. And I'll see you all soon, guys. I'll leave the videos here now for you, right here, so you can see them. Alright, thanks, guys.